pro saxophonist Jamie Anderson. You're watching Get Your Sax Together, and today we're talking about what I would do if I had to start playing saxophone from scratch. Now, this video is going to help you even if you already know how to play saxophone, because I'm going to cover a lot of basics and a lot of bases that you might not be covering, even if you're like an intermediate player. So if you're starting from scratch, great, you're in the right place. And if you're a beginner or intermediate, hey, you're still in the right place. Okay, let's get right on into it. The first thing I would do, and I'm about to draw all over the screen, it's going to be super messy and chaotic. The first thing I would do if I had to start playing saxophone from scratch, and this is the first of 5 things, the first thing I would do is get the right gear, okay? So get the right gear. Now, you're going to get pretty triggered by my handwriting, which is awful, but that's all part of the fun today. Right, now, what would I get if I had to start saxophone from scratch? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get rid of the writing just briefly while I talk about this. I would, controversially, going to put my pencil behind my ear like a carpenter. It sort of shows off my Lego hair today. First thing I would do, which is quite controversial, is I would start on tenor saxophone. I would not start on alto sax like almost everybody does. I think alto sax is more difficult. The low notes are harder. The palm keys are more difficult to get in tune, and they always sound really shrill. I just think alto is a little bit more pressure, a little bit tighter embouchure on alto. I think tenor is easier to start. So there you go. There's some controversy. Put in the comments if you think I'm talking complete rubbish. I would start on tenor. I've got my notes here. If you see I'm looking down, sorry about that. I would get myself a good saxophone. Now I'm talking about a good level student horn. I would not get the cheapest horn in the shop. This is a better sax tenor. It costs about 1,300 quid in the UK. But that, this is virtually a pro instrument. I'm not saying you need to spend that much, but half decent Yamaha, something like that. Something which is sort of either an upper student or lower intermediate horn. That's what I would get. And the next thing that I would do is I would make sure, even more importantly than the sax you get, that you get it fully serviced from a really, really good trusted technician so that there are no leaks on the saxophone. That is one of the things I would do in respect of gear, because you don't know if it's you or the instrument in the early days. When you're a pro like me, you do, but in the early days you don't. So it's really, really important that the instrument is sealing and that, any problems are to do with you. Then, mouthpiece wise, I would get myself a middle of the road, tip opening 5, maximum 6 mouthpiece. And I would get something like, this is the one I had in the drawer is a Better Sax Classic. I know I'm all like Mr. Better Sax today, whatever. But this is only about 50 quid. And it's a really good beginner mouthpiece. You could even play up to intermediate with it. You could get something like a Yamaha 4C. That's a little bit tighter tip opening, a little bit more restricted, a little bit more going to restrict how much expression you can get. So something like middle of the road mouthpiece. Don't get a big tip opening mouthpiece. If you're playing tenor, don't get a metal mouthpiece straight away. They're harder to control. So ebonite or plastic mouthpiece, and this Better Sax Classic is perfect. Reeds wise, oh, by the way, make sure you got a mouthpiece patch on the top of your mouthpiece so you don't get the horrible vibrations on your teeth. Reeds wise, now I am not sort of Mr. Synthetic reed right here, but if I was starting from scratch, I would get a synthetic reed, maybe just get like a American Cartelagier, something like that. It will be fine. 2.25, maybe maximum 2.5 if you're a big kind of strong person that can blow hard. For this video, I'm using, as I get my sling tangled, we're going to talk about that in a minute, I'm using a 2.75. But then, I can play strongly. If I was starting from scratch, I would go more like a 2, but maybe 2.25 I'm gonna go for. I didn't have any in my drawer, so I've got a 2.75. Right. I would also get myself a comfortable neck strap that isn't going to pull your neck and give you a pain in your back and put you all out of sorts. This one is a Jazz Lab. I've also got a BG harness over there, which I usually use. So that's what I would get for my neck strap. And that covers the setup. That's the saxophone, the reed, the mouthpiece. Now the ligature, look, I've just got a simple ligature. Don't know if you can sort of see it because of the way the camera focuses. Simple 2-screw ligature will do you absolutely fine. You don't need to spend a bunch of money on your ligature. Okay, so that is the equipment. That is going to give you a nice balanced kind of approach. So get the right gear. Number two, you don't need to, by the way, you don't need to spend like thousands of quid on a saxophone. I've left my, trusty Mark 6 on the stand back there for this video so that you'll see me demoing the same stuff that you could start with. Okay, moving on. Number two, make sure that from the get-go, you get an excellent teacher. Get an excellent teacher. There you go. Exclamation mark. That is number two. Now, why is this so important? Let me go back to here again. It's so important because so many people get terrible advice in the early days, especially in regards to sound production, but everything else really as well. And it's really going to screw you up from the start. So my advice as regards getting an excellent teacher is to save some money that you might have been spending a few thousand extra on. You might be thinking, oh, I'm going to get a Selmer horn because that's really important. No. So if you're going to spend, say, $1,300 on a better sax, but you were thinking of spending $3,000, take that money instead and invest it in getting a really good teacher. Even if they're going to charge you 120, 130 plus pounds an hour, believe me, it is worth it. So find somebody really trusted that you can rely on and make sure that from the start, like later on, you can compensate by having not such a good teacher once you're much better. Don't have, don't sort of play the lottery of just getting any old saxophone teacher from, your local high street. They might be amazing. There are so many amazing teachers out there, but my experience from people that I teach is that they've been taught really badly as a general rule from the kind of lower tier of teachers, and it's potentially going to mess you up. I don't want that for you. I want you to get really good advice from the get-go. So save up your pennies and get yourself a really good teacher. Now, this could also take the shape of renting a saxophone, okay? Why don't you rent a saxophone by the month and still make sure that it's been really fully serviced and it all works and all that sort of stuff? Then you can take the money that you've saved, that sort of £1,000 or whatever, and get yourself some really good lessons. Even if it's just 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 really good lessons to get you started. Okay, awesome. That is number two. Let's move on to number three. Check out my notes here. Number three. Okay, this is really important. Number three is going to be, I'm going to call it the 100-day Practice Gong. Now then, what on earth am I going on about with the 100-day Practice Gong for number three? Right, I'm going to tell you. But hey, just before I go into number three about the Practice Gong, if you want to kind of take a quantum leap on your saxophone playing, no matter what standard you are, take the opportunity to go and check out my free Saxophone Success Masterclass. A very quick plug here. It's got loads of really cool information. All you got to do is enter your email. You'll get instantaneous access. It's pretty darn cool. Okay, back to number three. What do I mean by 100-day practice gong? It's this thing in martial arts. I used to do this Jan Jong kind of Tai Chi type stuff. And in martial arts, you have a 100-day thing where you practice for 100 consecutive days. Now, if you get into the 100 days and you're on day 89 and you don't practice, you go back to 1. And you've got this grid and you just tick it. Now, that means practicing on Sundays. It means practicing every day, but you don't need to practice for very long. Why do I say that you need to practice for 100 days? Because in the beginning, the really important thing is not being able to practice for hours at a time because you won't have the stamina. The really important thing is to establish that muscle memory with your playing. Oh, I've got an itchy nose. Establish that muscle memory, and you do that by repetition. Now, if you want to take it to the next level above that, I would even say practice for a short period of time, multiple times a day for 100 days. And by the end of that 100, you're really going to have a good setup going, believe me. So 100 days practice. And if you want to make it even better, do it to 2 or 3 short little practice sessions a day. And then you go to sleep at night. That's my little sleepy face. And your brain processes that information overnight. The next day you come back and you do it all again. You get better in your sleep, not by knackering yourself and playing for 3 hours one day and then nothing for 4 days. You will not improve. So that is the practice gong. That's number 3. We're making progress. So, number 4, this is all about practicing, what you're going to practice. So, number 4 is I would practice the basics. Okay, practice the basics methodically. Oh, how do I spell this? Methodically. Should we take a punt on that? That looks about right. Practice the basics methodically. It doesn't have to be for hours. You just have to dial in the basics. Now, this is the part, by the way, where a lot of people who are intermediates could really make the gains. Okay, even if you already think you're a pretty good player. So, what am I talking about? I've done lots of videos in this, so I'm going to zip through it pretty quickly if I can. All right. I'm going to get a separate screen and write them down the side here because I'm going to move fast. So the basics that I would practice, and this is number 4 of the 5, the basics that I would practice every day are, number 1, I would practice breathing. Okay. Writing like a small child there. Breathing. That means a relaxed, full breath and loads of air support and loads of air volume to really support your saxophone sound from the start. Don't take little shallow breaths and create tension in your shoulders and neck. Your shoulders should stay down. You fill up your belly and your ribs and you put loads of air through that horn, all right? Loads of air through that horn. Don't just... You're not going to sound good on saxophone. I'm going to move my horn over here. You're not going to sound good on saxophone if you do that. Lots of air pressure, okay? That's really important. The second thing I would practice for the basics is, keeping your, I'm going to call it no embouchure, okay? No embouchure. What do I mean by that? I mean that you don't curl your lip over, don't make a line. You might have got advice from clarinet players. Don't bite on the reed. Just if your mouth is like this, like you're watching TV. I've got a video called the No Embouchure. I didn't invent it, by the way. Like you're gormless, just watching TV. You put the mouthpiece in. Okay? The shape of your mouth when you're just kind of, like gormlessly watching telly, that is your embouchure. You do not put loads of pressure on the bottom of the reed. So look, check this out. There's my kind of, Netflix face. And there's your mouthpiece. Teeth on the top. Put your teeth, lightly rest, and then just put the mouthpiece in. And then you just blow. All right? Don't do this. It's not a good look. I've got loads of videos and all this stuff. So the no embouchure is what I would do there. Then the next thing you want to do is just using the mouthpiece and neck like I have been doing. You want to work on having clean articulation, okay? Clean articulation. I'm going to go off screen. What do I mean by that? You're just going to use, just slightly back from the tip of your tongue, using, somewhere near the front of the reed, tip of the reed, just back from the tip of the reed, horses for courses. But you don't want to have a big, thick tongue on the reed going, whoa, whoa, whoa. Precise articulation, and the rest of your tongue is going to be still while the tip of your tongue articulates. Okay? In case you didn't know, in case you really have not even played saxophone once before, each time you start a note, you seal the reed against the mouthpiece. You start to build up blowing pressure, then you pull your tongue away and you start the note. You don't start each note just with air, like you don't start like that. Then during notes, you can use your tongue to demarcate, and you want to be very clean and precise, and nothing else should happen to your sound while you're doing this. So you're not going to go, nice and clean tonguing, okay? And this should all be still. You can do what's called what I call a neck check. Just put your hand around your throat gently. and you can see that not a lot is going on. You shouldn't be going oh, oh, oh with your tongue. So clean articulation, very, very important, okay? This is all in my Phrase Like a Pro course, just looking at my notes down here. So I call that transparent articulation. The next thing I would do in terms of your sound is, I'm just going to do a visual demonstration of this, okay? These are dynamics. PPP means quiet, 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 very quiet, as quiet as you can. FFF means loud, loud, loud as you can, and then back down. And the arrows mean you gradually get as loud as you can and then as quiet as you can. So why do you do this? Because it's great for your embouchure, it's great for your sound, and it's great if you can actually get the neck into the saxophone like that. So I'm doing bare minimum here, okay? Remember, this is part 4. This is all the little things that you do to get really good technique from the get-go. So this would look a bit like this, and you can use a tuning meter if you want to make sure that you're still playing in tune, because it's quite difficult to stay in tune as you do this tone exercise. You tend to go sharp when you play quietly, and you tend to go flat when you play loud. So typically it would sound like this. But we want it to sound like this. And you try and fade it out to nothing at the end. Now, what you'll find at first is that it's, you know, a bit like, it's a bit jerky at first. You'll get those little jerks, but that's why we do it, to practice doing that. So that's what you can do for your tone. Further down the line, you can do overtoned exercises. We're not talking about that just yet. Next, you can do simple scale progressions. I'm just going to call it scale progs. And you just want to start off with 1 octave scales, major scales, and try and work through 1 octave scales in every key with a metronome. And you're going to play it very precisely and slowly to drill in the technique and the finger movements that you're going to be able to do much quicker later. But if you do it too fast to begin with, it's not going to work. I need to put up here, look, this is all number 4 that we're still on, all right? We're all on number 4, which is, you know, getting your technique. I've done lots of videos on all this stuff as well, but your hands just want to be relaxed and loose. Your arms are loosey-goosey. Imagine you're just holding 2 drinks that you come from the bar. That's how you have them on your horn. No beaver paws, no tower bridge, flappy fingers, all that stuff. So, nice relaxed hand position, and let's do 1 octave scales. Now you want to do this with a metronome, and you're going to tongue the first note and then do them smooth. Simples, right? Simples. If I had to start saxophones from scratch, I would be doing the basics really, really well, really slowly until I could do it right. And then when you get faster, you've already got that base of really good technique. So, you could also do some basic studies, if you like, some basic, you know, very beginnery etudes or studies. And if you're not using a backing track, you know, try using, if you're not using a metronome, I beg your pardon, try doing stuff with a backing track. So get a kind of beginnersy, simple songs, etudes, play them with a backing track. The reason you're doing that is so that you learn how to play in time from the start. Because if you're just playing your song and you're going... you'll never learn to play in time. So no matter how basic the tune, you've got to get in the groove. Really advanced video, this one. Okay, that takes care of number 4. All these things down here that you can see. That's your basic, what you're going to practice stuff for your basic technique. Let me just flick back to my other screen 1 second. Okay, back to the old Listington Stanley here, and we've got one more thing to do, and this is from the very start. To counteract all this really methodical practicing of your basics, I would throw in some creative and fun stuff. Okay, now what am I talking about here? What do I define as creative, fun stuff? And by the way, I have got one more bonus point just after this. Creative, fun stuff. So from the very beginning, try doing some simple ear training. So listen to a simple nursery rhyme or a simple song that you know, or even a very, very simple solo that you love or song. Try and work out the notes on your saxophone. This is going to start training your ear. Now remember, you're doing this for 100 days in a row. And these things needn't take a lot of time. The practice sessions I'm talking about here are no more than 10 or 15 minutes. You know, it's quite a manageable thing. And even if you did some of these things like a scale or a bit of articulation just for a few minutes, it really makes a big difference in the beginning. So very, very simple ear training, work out some nursery rhymes, work out simple songs. Second thing that you can do, maybe I should start making a list of these ones. One sec. Okay, this is the number 5 stuff. So I'm talking about simple ear training. I'm not going to fit in training. I'm just going to abbreviate it. Simple ear training. The next thing you can do is immediately get into the habit of improvising and jamming, even if it's just one note stuff. Okay, so let's call that simple improv. You can do this in my improvisation mastery course, where you're just jamming with one note. It's gonna help you with your phrasing. It's gonna help you get in the groove, and it's gonna help you realize that, you know, this is all a creative, fun process. You want to make sure that you're kind of instantly connecting with the joy and creativity of playing saxophone. Now, whether that means you dive straight in and join some really basic beginner jazz group, even if you're just doing clapping stuff or some workshop, or, you know, you get some program online which takes you from zero to hero with your improv, it's really important to engage. I'm going to put just engage the joy. Okay, engage the joy and the fun, mess around, experiment, see how you get on, try new things, as well as being very regimented and methodical with what you do. So if I go back to my other list here, that is the 5 things. Now I've got one little extra bonus tip for you. Let's call it a bonus down here. And that is to listen very carefully to lots of great sax players. I'm doing the universal symbol here of glasses, which you'll see on music, which means pay attention. And that is the big point here. The bonus is to pay attention and listen to lots of different saxophonists, depending where you are, that you love. Listen to Joe Henderson, Train, Brecker, you know, whoever it is that you love, whether it's ska, reggae, rock, smooth, jazz, whatever. Really listen carefully and try and fix the sound of that player in your head, because if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Don't just stick the horn in your mouth and just go, bah, and what happens, happens. Try and have a direction to what you do. So that's really important. The final point there, which is to have a quick direction. So a quick summary. Number 1, get yourself the right equipment. We've talked about that. Number 2, get an excellent teacher. And by the way, nods as good as a wink to a blind man. You can find out how to get lessons with me. There's a link in the description. Number 3, get yourself a grid and try and see if you can complete a 100-day practice gong. That is a serious way of improving. If you practice number 4, the things that we talked about, the basics like the air, like the no embouchure, good, clean, transparent tongue technique, quiet to loud, long notes, good hand position, scale progression, simple studies, things with backing tracks, all that we already covered. And number 5, to get straight into the improv, get yourself into some basic working out things by ear, so you're not just tied to the sheet music, and engage the joy and have, you know, lots of fun. And as that special bonus, make sure that you have some really good listening to saxophone players to give you that direction. That's what I've got for you today. you can go and check out the free Saxophone Success Masterclass. That is a successful way to get good at saxophone. Does what it says on the tin. And also, not when you're just a complete noob. You know, if you've been playing saxophone for 2 weeks, probably not so good, but a little bit down the line, not too far down the line, but a little bit down the line, go and check out my Inner Circle membership. It's an online saxophone membership with loads of awesome content, which is really going to transform how good you sound at saxophone. And it's a fun, friendly place full of sax players just like you. You're going to love it. There's a Q&A where you can ask me anything. You can even play stuff that you're struggling with, and I will help you on the spot. How about that? Sounds pretty cool, right? Plus, we have guests who are the cream of international players from all around the world, educators, performers, and you can ask them questions as well. It's pretty cool. It's a great place to be. Go and check out the Inner Circle membership, and you can try it for 7 days for free. What have you got to lose? Nothing. Okay, I'll see you in the Inner Circle, hopefully. And until the next time, enjoy your saxophone playing. It's literally the best thing in the world. And I'm here for you. I'm rooting for you. You got this. Follow the plan. And you're going to really be sounding smoking on your sax before you know it. Until next time, I'm Pro Saxophonist Jamie Anderson. You're watching Get Your Sax Together and practice hard. Not too hard in the beginning. I'm going to change it to practice regular. Practice hard, practice smart. I've thrown myself off. And enjoy your music. Take it easy. In fact, if you're starting saxophones from... That's surely not going to be good enough.